Hi, I'm Janelle, and welcome to Heaven's Kitchen. Just back from a great walk and some outdoor yoga. Feels great, but I'm ready to get in and start cooking something. So give me a second, I'm gonna go freshen up and I'll meet you in the kitchen. Come on in and join me. Welcome back into my Eastman kitchen. So glad you could come along. I am getting psyched for football season. God rest my dad's soul, it was his favorite. He would watch every game simultaneously and keep track of all of them. So I used to try to come up with some nice things that I could bring to him on Saturday so he'd have them ready for the big game on Sunday. So I'm going to show you something today that you can do in advance if you want to, or you can just serve it right before the game. So hang in, I'm going to get us all set up and we're going to make some really fun football food with a little Mexican flair. Be right back. What's better than having your living room full of friends and family and serving up some really great stuff and watching our Patriots have a great game? Not much in my book. So what I wanted to show you today is kind of a combination of all the things that my guys like. My son loves tacos, and I decided to put together similar to a Mexican lasagna, but I call it a tortilla pie. So in order to do it, I am going to need some ground beef. So I'm going to get Mary preheating right now, because while I get the ground beef going, and mind you, you can do this with ground turkey if you prefer, or even ground chicken if you want to go a bit lighter. So I'm going to get this cranking on the stove so we can get it sauteing and then seasoned. And while we get that going, I'm going to show you how to make your own guacamole. Mary's nice and warmed up. If you use ground turkey or ground chicken, you're definitely going to want to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan so it doesn't stick. I'm using 75%, frankly, because the fat adds flavor and I'm going to drain it off anyway. If you prefer to buy something leaner, that's fine. You may need to put a little something in your pan so it doesn't stick. So my favorite seasonings of all, as you well know, onion powder, garlic powder, and my Sicilian seasoning. Even though this is Mexican, not Italian, it's got all the great stuff in it. So, and when it's sizzling up, it really smells fantastic with the seasonings on it. So I'm just going to get that started. And she's going to start sizzling up nicely for us. And I just have to grab a couple of my favorite sharp knives because we want to do the magic trick. If you've never worked with an avocado, I'll tell you my funny story when I first started. Hang in, I'll be right back. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, so our base, just like you would for a taco, is going to be ground beef seasoned with all the things that you season taco meat with, which are chili powder, cumin, some paprika, salt and pepper. I think if you've seen any of my previous shows, you know that I do not do spice. If you do spice and you like spicy taco meat, then a fresh jalapeno would be absolutely perfect for this. I do have hot fans in my family, so I usually serve either a Tabasco hot sauce on the side or jalapenos or canned chilies on the side, because if they go into my tortilla pie, they just ruin it for me, so I keep them separate. So we're gonna let this keep cranking away. I'm gonna move my camera back and we're gonna get started playing with our avocado. Okay, so here's my avocado story. I think homemade guacamole is delicious because obviously it's fresh and you've just made it before you serve it. I never knew because I had never seen it made. So I took a peeler and I tried to peel an avocado. And trust me when I tell you, it doesn't work well at all. I ended up wasting half of it. So anyway, my tale is, do not try to peel an avocado. It's actually my tomato knife, but it's gonna work perfect. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk you through one avocado, and then I'm gonna show you up close so that you get a real handle on how we're gonna do this. If you've not worked with them before, there is a big giant pit in the middle of it, about the size of a very small golf ball. So you're gonna get a good handle on it on your board, and I usually just flatten my hand down so I can hold it well. You're gonna put your knife in until you feel the pit. You're gonna feel that resistance, and then just kind of spin the avocado around your knife until you get all the way around. And once you do, you've cut all the way around, you give it a little twist, and voila, done. So you have your pit on this side. Generally, it comes out very easily. Let's hope in this case it does. And I'm just gonna put my knife in carefully and try to pop it out. As a matter of fact, the better way to do it is how you're gonna extract all the good stuff out of the avocado using a teaspoon. So you just take your teaspoon, carve around the pit, and it's generally gonna pop out pretty nice and neat for you, like so. And of course, it might come out with a little avocado on it. Scrape it off, don't waste any of it. So, what you do is you grab a nice bowl, and once you've taken the pit out, and do not throw that in the trash, and I'll tell you why. I don't know what the science of it is, but if you keep the pit in your guacamole, it's going to keep it from browning. Guacamole does brown up pretty quickly. So when I said at the beginning of the show that you could make this dinner ahead, you can definitely make your tortilla pie, but don't make your guacamole much more than, say, an hour, maximum 2 before your guests arrive, because you want it to be nice and fresh and green. So all you do is take your spoon and you scoop right around the rind, and out comes your fabulous avocado. So I'll move my camera a little bit closer. I'm gonna take care of this ground beef. I'm gonna drain it off, then we'll season it up, and you can get a good look at how to do your own avocado, and we'll proceed to make a tremendous guacamole. See? Really easy. Didn't I tell you? What I am going to do, however, I love my little presentation bowls. My kids will tell you it's all about the presentation with me. But it's really not practical as we're trying to mix our guacamole. So let me grab us a deeper bowl. I'll transfer my beautiful avocado in there. And what goes into guacamole? Whatever you want to go into guacamole. I like to keep it basic because I just think the avocado speaks for itself. Salt, tomato, a little white onion, and some lime juice. That's all you need. So I'm going to get my lime juice on there quickly because the acid of the lime is going to, again, do a little bit of helping towards keeping the avocado from oxidizing. Oxidizing meaning turning brown. So we're going to get a nice dose of lime juice on there. And some people use lemon. The only reason why I use lime is because it's there for Coronas to go with it. So whichever you prefer, they both are going to taste absolutely fantastic. So whichever one is absolutely fine. So give that a good squeeze in there. And then what we're going to add to it, as I said, is I use a nice white onion just because it looks beautiful. You can use scallion, you can use anything that you prefer. But this really does, I think, look nice against, you've got the beautiful bright green guacamole. Then you've got avocado, I should say. Then you've got some nice red tomato. Let me just throw it across the table. Nice red Roma tomato. So the contrast looks super. So again, small, little chop. And I'm really not using the right knife for this, but it's doing the job. So we're going to add our onion. And I don't like an overwhelming flavor of onion. As I always tell you, personal taste. Do what you like and what your friends like and what your family likes. But this is going to be enough for me because now my eyes are watering and I don't want that to happen. So we're going to move on to the tomato. As I've told you in the past, going to just drain it off just a smidge. I've got a little bowl right here I can use. So I'm just going to squeeze out the wetness, okay, before I make my little nice fine chop. And add that to the guacamole. And I've got to get myself some salt. And we'll add some nice salt. Again, to taste. And what you're going to do is once you start mashing it up, I think my salt got a little moist in the humidity around here today. Okay, take your fork and start mashing. And just combining all your ingredients. And you're absolutely going to love this. All right, was I right? Is that the simplest thing? A delicious, fresh, homemade guacamole. Before you put the pit back in it, cover it with wrap and store it in the fridge before you're ready to serve it. You obviously want to try it. And you want to try it for flavoring, for example, for the lime juice and the salt. And it's delicious. I'm going to squeeze a little more lime just for a little spunk, but it is delicious. So leave it right in the bowl that you mixed it in for keeping it cool. But then when you serve it, use a pretty presentation dish like mine. And most people find it curious if there's a pit sitting in it. As I said, it's serving a purpose. People will just eat around it. It's not a big deal. If that bothers you, go ahead and pull it out. But I know that it really does help because I've proven it in my own kitchen. The one thing, I apologize that I didn't talk to you about, if you had not worked with avocado before, when you do that scooping, it keeps it nice and whole. So, I mean, avocado is so healthy. Granted, it does have a great deal of fat, so it's not something you want to eat every day, but it's got some really great nutrients, really good for you. So when you scoop it and leave the piece whole, you can slice it for sandwiches or salads, or do exactly what we just did and mash it up. You can make a spread or whatever. But what I failed to mention to you, when you go to the store, there are different types of avocado. California has created a low-fat version, much bigger. Frankly, I've never used them. I am going to try it someday. I just really love these Hass avocados from Mexico. If you get to the store and they're very hard and very green, you probably are not going to be able to use them that day. So what you do is just take them and put them in a brown paper bag, close the bag, and leave them in a temperate place, not too cool, not too warm, and they will ripen up. And when they are ripe, they're going to look darker, more of a brownish as opposed to green, and they're just going to give a little. I mean, you don't want them to be totally mushy, because that means they may be starting to get brown inside. So as long as it's soft to your touch, similar to, say, a stone fruit, and it has the darker color, and if you feel at the stem end and you can get your thumb a little bit in there, you got a perfect avocado. So I'm going to clean up the guacamole mess. I'm going to get it into the fridge to cool it down, and we're going to move on to finish up our awesome tortilla pie. Yum. Okay, let's assemble this tortilla pie. One word of caution I will give you. Those pre-packaged taco kits and the envelopes of seasonings, they're very convenient, yes, but you can do it just as easily on your own, and then you can control the sodium. So I always put together a little chili seasoning, I guess I would call it, so that I have it when I'm making chili, when I'm making something like this. Again, it's onion powder, garlic powder, cumin if you like it, it's smoky. If you don't care for it, you can omit that. Paprika. A lot of people use cayenne. Again, if you're a hot person, use cayenne. I'm not, I don't. So, my ground beef is still staying nice and warm here, so I'm just going to season that up with my delicious chili / taco seasoning, and you're gonna maybe need a little bit of water, but as I said, I'm using the 75%. I did drain the fat off, but the seasoning is gonna adhere, just fine to the ground beef as it is. So I am loving how that looks right now, and I can tell from the smell that it's seasoned beautifully. I think I've told you before, I'm always trying to sneak healthy things in to Tom's diet, to Tommy, and to Kayleen's. I was thrilled to death when I went to the store and I saw these. They're tortillas, but they have flax, oat bran, and whole wheat. And once you put it together in something like this, no one's gonna know the difference. And believe it or not, one tortilla has 24% of your daily dietary fiber. And as I've said, God rest my father's soul, colon cancer was what caused him to be in heaven, and I've really learned a lesson that fiber is very, very, very important in your diet. So be aware of that, and any time you can add more by just substituting whole wheat flax tortilla for a white one, do it. So here we go. This is just simple layering, just like making a lasagna. I'm using this gorgeous dish, pretty stoneware that my sister-in-law Sarah gave me, because it fits the tortillas beautifully. Obviously, you want to start with something so the tortilla doesn't stick to the bottom. So I've got my salsa here, and I've also got some enchilada sauce. So I'm going to do a combination of both on the bottom. Just like when you're making a lasagna, you start your pan with something like, you know, your marinara or your meat sauce. We're doing the same thing here. I'll add a little of my enchilada sauce. So I'm going to layer the bottom with that. Then I will also add a layer of ground beef, and that's not too hot, but let me use my big spoon here. Okay, so I'll start with the ground beef and my sauces, and I will lay my tortilla, which fits absolutely beautifully, as you'll see. And then I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna go ground beef, taco, enchilada sauce, and salsa, and loads and loads and loads of cheese. And again, jalapenos, if you like them, work them into your layers. I'm gonna move my camera so you can watch me build a couple layers, then we're gonna pop it into a 375-degree oven until it bubbles up, and it's gonna be fantastic. I'll be right back. Before I move my camera closer for you, I forgot one of my favorite ingredients. Again, don't have to use them, I love them. Refried beans. I use black beans, and because I'm making this one for myself, I'm gonna use pinto beans too, because I love them all. So the way I do it is I just simply open up my cans, leave just a little flap, put some water, drain them off, and then open up your cans again, and you can just use it right out of the can, okay? Refried beans, we've got to pop in the microwave for less than a minute, because if they're not spreadable, we're not going to be able to get them onto the tortilla. So, just wanted to give you that little note before I bring the camera over, and let's make a beautiful tortilla pie. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm going to cut myself a wedge of this nice tortilla pie, and it's perfect timing because it's just about kickoff time. I would suggest either a nice Mexican beer, or I think I am going to enjoy a nice